Hello, welcome back
Good
to
morning.
I'm joined with loads of people today, so it's a bit of a
Full
party.
house.
We've got
Full house.
Bianca, Jasmine, and Pete. How are you all?
Really good,
I'm
thanks.
good.
How are you, Steve?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Is it sunny where you are?
Yeah.
Or did you have a heavy night?
No, I have a light on the top of my computer.
Okay.
Goes into my face.
Oh, okay.
So, do you want to tell us about the rewind unwind that happened yesterday?
Yeah, do you want me to?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so last night we had our first rewind unwind event at the yard, and it was an evening event. So obviously, generally you see me here in the day, but it was an evening one. We kicked off at 6:30, and it was an opportunity just for local professionals within Northampton to come down to the yard, share stories, share work experiences, and maybe sort of look into potential ways of collaboration, because one of the things that we know that in Northampton, there's some really fantastic organisations that perhaps a lot of people hadn't heard of. I know for a fact, since starting doing this job, there's so many more wonderful things going on in Northampton that I've just never known about. So that was sort of the point of the evening. We had a really great turnout, didn't we? We all shared a glass of bubbles, we had nibbles, and it was just really lovely catching up with people and sharing our stories. And potentially, there may be a few things that we'll be working with people moving forward.
I think one of the things that I was really, not excited about, but that we met with Sharon from the Lowdown. So for those of you who don't know, the Lowdown is a counselling agency for young people in Northampton, aged 11 to 25. And they were saying that we need to look at how we can do a campaign together. Now, Pete will know, I like a good campaign. It cheers me up. So with my other hat on, I do lots of kind of solidarity campaigning stuff. But the fact is that services in Northampton are being underfunded purposefully, which means that young people aren't getting the service that they deserve. So it's a real big problem, because in the Lowdown, young people are only funded for 6 to 8 counselling sessions. Now, how can you do anything with 6 to 8 counselling sessions? Young people need half a year at the very basic to deal with some of the stuff that's going on. And so we're going to have a look at what we can do collectively to say, actually, the young people in Northampton deserve to have services that are funded adequately.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not okay to keep splashing money out on vanity projects while our young people suffer.
Definitely.
So, although it's a heavy subject, I'm quite excited to be actually doing something, because lots of time in Northampton we have a good talk about it, and then we all go off to our respective organisations,
and nothing changes.
So hopefully, this is the beginning of doing something about it.
And we're planning to hold these rewind unwind events. So they're going to be monthly. So our next one is on the 31st of August. And then following on from that, they're moving to a Monday evening, the last Monday of every month. So again, there's going to be, anyone watching missed it or couldn't make last night, there is going to be the opportunity to come along to further ones throughout the year. So please get in touch if you think that might be something that interests you, or you're an organisation that perhaps could do with being sort of shouted about a bit more. You can contact me at the yard at communitycourtyard.org, or contact me on any social media, and I can give you a bit more info. We'll put your name down for a place, because we are limited on places because of COVID. But they're moving forward. There's going to be more, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got Rachel McGrath coming to the next one, and she's from the Community Foundation. And she's going to be talking about the work of the foundation, what they're funded, and the impact of that work. Because all too often we fund loads of stuff, but we don't actually hear what the impact of the funds do. And we know that they gave out millions of pounds during COVID. The other thing that I was really pleased about from this time's Rewind Unwind was that we have an organisation now who are going to come and support NEET young people twice a week, starting from September. So that's fantastic. That's not a service that we offer, but another organisation are going to come in, and that's about being co-creative, where we come together to make a good idea great. So I'm quite excited about that.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially because I don't have to do the work. That cheers me up.
And it's just nice as well, I think, because obviously to seeing the building get used as it's supposed to, you know, this whole project, which obviously we've been funded for by the National Lottery, is about communities, and it's nice to see other organisations within the community utilising the space that we've got, because that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
No,
So
interesting. Although I wasn't there, obviously, but to see the photographs on social media, I thought it was great because you know we've had quite a considerable amount of time where we've not been able to meet. And we've almost forgotten how to collaborate and work together because we've all been isolated. Actually, to see that you've kicked something off, that people are standing around. I'm sure the bubbly helped as well, you know, the glasses of bubbly.
Oh, absolutely.
It helped Jasmine. Cheered Jasmine up.
Cheered me up coming to work on an evening. If I'm promised nibbles and a glass of fizz, I'm there. I'm there.
Jesus, I'd be over straight away if it's nibbles, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you come to the next one, please, Pete?
Well, see the photographs of people actually coming together and working together. I think that's great. I've missed that.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great doing these things and on Zoom, but there's nothing better than actually being in a room and bouncing ideas off each other. So
yeah,
I think future meetings should go from strength to strength. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're quite excited about it, really. Oh man, I've just got someone coming through the door.
Got someone coming through the door. So.
Hello, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
See, this is it. I'm live down at the yard. This happened the other week. I was online with someone else, and I had two people come in, and I was trying to speak a bit on here and speak to people there. But that's the beauty of being back in the yard at the moment. So Carl says you need a boot room, Jasmine. So if you haven't yet, so I know Carl from a long time ago, and he runs a really fantastic project where he supplies children who can't afford new football boots, or perhaps parents aren't in a position to buy them. He gets football boots donated, he cleans them up, and then they get distributed to children who really want to play sports, who otherwise might not be able to. So give it a follow on Facebook, and it's definitely something I'm going to speak to Bianca about here, because it's a really worthwhile project. It's so important for children to play sports these days, and it's not cheap. It's not cheap. Having a son myself who plays football, rugby, and the speed their feet grow, it becomes very expensive to kit them out. So definitely give the boot room a follow. And Carl, once I've spoke to Bianca, I'll be in touch and see if there's any way we could do anything together here. But yeah, definitely.
Okay, great. I'm just seeing if I can find it on Facebook too. Do you want to post the link up to the page, Carl? And then
Carl, post the link and then we can share it for you.
So on the subject of mental health, did you see that Simone, I think it's Boyles, the gymnast, she didn't do too well, and then she pulled out of, I think it was the final, because of her mental health. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's really brave of her to be able to make that stand and go, actually, this is not going well for my mental health, and actually I'm going to make that decision to take a step back, because I think that in itself is very, very brave. I'm not sure very many people will be able to do that. You can only imagine the amount of disappointment she must be feeling, because how hard they have to train to get to Tokyo. So I think she deserves a lot of credit for putting her mental health before anything else. It's a shame. I feel sorry for her, and no one wants to hear that someone's having to withdraw because their mental health may be suffering, but it's true in the world that we're living in, and it probably resonates more now that we need to be so much more mindful of our mental health, and we need people to be able to say things such as this, to go, actually, no, this is not working for me.
I think this could be a bit of a turning point. I agree, Jasmine. It's a brave thing to do, because you've got that amount, that weight of expectation on your shoulders, and you've almost got forced to go through it. But I think what it's shown me is you've forgotten it's there to be enjoyed, isn't it? It shouldn't get to a point where it affects your both mental and physical health. Remember as well, there's things like gymnastics. You know, there's a physical aspect in your old age. So I think we've lost, and certainly the Olympics, we've lost the that notion of sport is something enjoyed by both, not the spectators, but also the participants.
Yeah.
I think that amount of pressure is just unwanted. I'm hoping that it's taken forward now and she becomes the sort of standard bearer for a bit of a change around it.
Yeah, I think some tennis players pulled out of Wimbledon. I think there was one or two tennis players that pulled out of Wimbledon because of mental health. And athletes do need to get more mental health support, especially in an ongoing championship or tournament. I think it's the duty of I can't think of the name of the athletics body now, but they need to be there supporting the athletes. FIFA need to be there supporting the football players, Wimbledon, etc. I think it's the duty of the teams and the overriding organisations to provide that safety net of mental health support. But there is a kind of pressure that comes with being a top-level athlete that they need to be prepared to handle. They need to be taught in a way how to handle it. It's like, for example, a brain surgeon, that's a high pressure job.
Yeah.
Or like, and without being an athlete, it is a high pressure job. It's a high pressure field. And without that support network there, they are kind of being thrown in at the deep end. And it's like a firefighter, for example, who has to cut people out of cars. Yeah. They need to get support to deal with that emotional turmoil that they have to face. And it's definitely a blind spot that the athletes are not getting that kind of support because, well, it's like, look at Gary Neville when he missed that penalty in 1996. That would have had a profound effect on him as a person.
100%.
And there was nothing there to kind of ease that transition from being a champion to not being a champion. And at the brunt end of this, people go off the deep end with drugs and self-medicate with alcohol because they don't know how to deal with that loss.
And I think the other thing is as well, sorry to interrupt you, Steve, but I was watching an interview this morning on Good Morning Britain, and they were interviewing the coach, you know, the British twins who won the gymnastics, and they were interviewing their coach. And one of the questions was, you know, because if you think how young they are, so we're not talking about, some of these athletes are so young.
She's 24. You know, she's 24.
Oh, really? What, Simone?
Yeah.
They're still young, isn't it?
Yeah.
But these twins who are gymnastics, I don't know if they got gold. I'm not a massive sort of Olympics fan, but the coach was asked how much mental health support are they given, and she said, oh, you know, I'm given mental health support and they are, but it does make you wonder whether, if you think how much physical training and support and work they will receive to make sure that they're at that level to compete in the Olympics, does the mental health aspect measure up? Because I'm probably thinking it doesn't. And despite whether they're a winner or a loser in these Olympics, this is going to change their lives.
Yeah.
And it could be very massively overwhelming mentally, winning a gold medal. You know, it could be with Simone. This could break her mentally.
Well, that's what she said. She said, where's the quote? After winning gold in Rio, it was so amazing. It was like all your wildest dreams coming true. Then for me, I came crashing down. I didn't know how to process. No one teaches you how to process becoming an Olympic champion.
Yeah.
So even winning has problems. It's like with reality TV, and those people become celebrities overnight, and there's no help for them. And like with Love Island, for example, a lot of them, or a quite high percentage, end up killing themselves because they don't know how to handle what they've become, and there's no kind of guidebook, and there's no help in transitioning to that. So even winning, like we talked about losing, but even winning obviously has a profound effect on their lives. and their mental health.
Yeah, and also this sort of, I know we spoke about it a few weeks ago, but even like the England football team, with them losing in the final a few weeks ago, can you imagine the mental, we're not just talking about the racist abuse that a lot of them received, but the hatred that the team received from a lot of so-called fans. That's a big thing to take on mentally, and a lot of those lads are very young. Are they getting the mental health support that they perhaps need? I think there needs to be a shift in our way of thinking. I mean, I've said this so many times over the past year. Mental health through the pandemic, but Joe Blogs, this is going to be huge. We haven't even hit the tip of the iceberg yet with mental health. There needs to be a change, I think, in the way we all sort of measure up how important mental health is, because it's got to be up there. I've spoke many a time about our children who have missed so much school and everything's changed. And Bianca's back, so I'm going to take the headphones out. It's very hard to hear. It's busy.
Okay, if you want to leave the headphones in.
I mean, it definitely is changing. Like this, like Pete was saying, this Simone thing could be the sea change that is needed. And it's definitely a conversation now that's being had. I couldn't imagine, maybe even 5 years ago, these kind of conversations happening. I couldn't imagine an athlete pulling out of an event at the Olympics. I couldn't have imagined someone pulling out of Wimbledon. It was just kind of not the done thing because mental health wasn't on the agenda at all. And now it seems like it is becoming on the agenda. It's nowhere near far enough along that it needs to be for these athletes, but maybe this is the beginning of that change that we need to see.
Definitely.
I don't think Simone truly understands what she's done such a fantastic thing, and I don't think she understands into the impact it's going to have on young people. There's a couple of things I've observed. One is it's also about your community and who surrounds you. So, for example, the town I live in, Ireland, is called Skibbereen. We have 7 rowers in the Olympics.
Wow.
Now, the guys, 2 of the guys they won gold at the last Olympics, which is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
But then when they come back, they're treated as normal people and they're just brought back
into the fold. Yeah.
But, they're
brought down to earth.
Yeah.
All down to earth. But what's really important as well, we had I think there's a swimmer who went to the Olympics. She was just really, really that she was in the Olympics. She didn't expect to do anything.
Yeah.
Got to the semi-finals and thought, this is brilliant. And that was celebrated. Not, you've got gold or failure. So, just the fact that being in the best in the world was enough. So, for example, with cycling, for example, people are taught to, things aren't going to happen, aren't they? You're going to crash, you're going to lose. And we just taught to be able to be a bit resilient, to play with that and just crack on with it. So they have a lot more support. I think other sports don't. Like gymnastics, I think there's probably a bit more pressure to succeed and all that. So,
but then I think
this is a sea change, like you said, Steve. I think things will change over this. If they don't, then
with us talking about how important mental health is, I think it needs to go back to, this needs to be taught in schools. Then this needs to be, as much as I want my children taught about maths and science and geography, I want them to have a weekly mental health well-being time. So they learn how to deal with their emotions. They learn how to have coping strategies. Because I think that's, if we don't teach our children from sort of this young up, how are they then supposed to, as an adult, be able to cope with it all? So I think we need to change in our schools, in our education systems.
Definitely.
But also to recognise that things like having a bit of anxiety is normal as well.
Yeah.
It's normal to be anxious about certain things. It's normal to be nervous, isn't it? So I agree.
It's not normal to be happy all the time.
Right from the bottom and work up through the education system. Yeah,
definitely. And in workplaces as well, people need to be supported with their mental health. It's pretty much from a very early age, isn't it? Till death, really, because mental health doesn't discriminate. about age, so you could be an old age pensioner and still suffer from mental health issues.
Bianca, you always say a good saying. You say we all have mental health. It just differs in all of us. We all have, you know.
Everybody self-harms. So, for example, if you drink coffee, you know that coffee's not good for you. You're putting something bad into your body. There's extremes of everything. So nobody is normal. There's no such thing. I think when you're talking about emotions, though, what I would
Especially at
also
the yard, there's no such thing as normal.
We're all a bit crazy.
That's just
And
the
long may
staff.
that continue. Long may that continue.
I also think that one of the things that's really important is for young people is when you're really angry at the world, how you deal with that emotion as well. Because we're often told that anger is a negative emotion, but actually it's a really positive emotion. You're allowed to feel angry. Do you mean the world is a difficult place at the moment, isn't it? Do you mean
But you get
feel angry.
But if you're at school and you get angry, you get told off for that. That's a bad thing. So then that's where we need to change the way we look at things, isn't it?
Well, I think if you're at school, so I'm just going to come out and get any quieter than where it was. I think
It's not got no Wi-Fi there.
That emotion.
Wi-Fi's not great in the garden.
Okay,
you're all right now. You're all right now.
The joy.
Oh,
sorry.
No, she's gone.
What are you doing?
It feels like absolute chaos down here today. I've got so many. I'm going to move where I'm sitting. I've got so many people behind me. It's great. There's loads of people here, but I just can't hear what's going on. I'm going to move seats.
Look already, Steve, that we're having a discussion about it. Let's hope that it should spark, a wider discussion. It's actually got younger people sitting there thinking, you know what? Actually, I don't have to put up with this. We can change things.
And in America, like high school and college sports are actually really high pressured and really important. Like they love their college sport. It's almost as like it's followed like really religiously. The towns are built up around it, and it's huge. And outside of America, it doesn't mean anything, but inside America, that is a big thing as well. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of college athletes seeing what she's doing and being inspired by that.
Yeah,
that'd be
definitely.
Brilliant. But it's things like getting a sports scholarship to go to university. I think will pile so much pressure on that system. It really piles pressure, doesn't it? I think let's hope it doesn't gain traction in the UK and Ireland. So I think that's right. Like I said earlier, we really have forgotten that sports there to be enjoyed, isn't it? You should be enjoying what you're doing. As well as watching it, taking part. I think we forgot that.
Definitely. Finally, I want to just quickly talk about the biggest tobacco firm in the UK, which is called British American Tobacco, which is a bit confusing, is saying that cannabis is going to be a key product of its going forward. So, do you think that the tobacco industry is going to start pushing for some kind of legalization of cannabis in the UK?
Absolutely.
And is that a good thing?
Yeah. I personally think that all drugs should be legal.
You keep breaking up.
I can't hear you very well, Bianca. It's not working.
Yeah, it's not working at all.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
I'm suspicious of this. I mean, why? Obviously, people with British American Tobacco see that their traditional sort of markets dwindle, isn't it? There's a massive backlash against smoking tobacco, so they're constantly looking for ways of surviving, and all they're going to do is replace tobacco with cannabis and make a shit load of money out of it.
Well, look at legalization in the States, in America. It's made a lot of money for for businesses, and I think
people.
yeah. Well, if you're a young 17-year-old drug dealer, you're probably going to go to jail. But there's millions of people in America who were young drug dealers who are in jail, and these big corporations have come in now and they're making a lot of money out of it. And these people are still languishing in jail, even though it's now legalized. That the market is so lucrative that I think these companies, they're basically parasites. Basically, they can see that this money is there to be made, and from a business point of view, it makes perfect sense to move on to that market because it's going to make them a lot of money. And I think in the UK, that'll be the defining factor about the legalization of any drug. Will be the profit margin that not only the government but the corporations can make. So we're actually one of the biggest exporters of cannabis in the world. Because we actually provide. You can grow cannabis in the UK if you get a license by the government. And there a while back, the woman in charge of giving licenses, her husband is like the largest cannabis producer.
Of course,
she's in charge of giving the licenses. So there's definitely like that corruption element that's going to continue. But for me, I think the important thing has to be about public health, and I think that the legalization and treating drug addiction in general as a health issue rather than a criminal one is something that we should adopt. But like you're saying, Pete, I'm quite skeptical of this because it's going to be about the profit motive, not the health aspect and the educational aspect as well. Because it's going to be about, well, it's like look at alcohol or just tobacco in general. Like we know these things are really damaging to people, but because the money is so much, the profit's so much, and these corporations are so powerful and have so much sway in public policy, they continue to sustain an unhealthy model for individuals. Like it's good for them, but is it good for us?
I mean, this is why I think, I agree with legalizing it, but also along with that, you need some sort of regulation, a regulatory body to just have an oversight on what these companies are doing. I mean, Philip Morris, the largest tobacco companies, isn't it? They're really into the vaping side of things. They're buying companies up because they see partly that's their future, isn't it? Because I think it was reported the other day that they said that they're hoping to stop tobacco goods within 10 years. So
I think I read that as well.
You're then thinking, hang on a minute, they're not doing it because they think smoking's bad. They've got other things in mind.
Well, it's the smoking ban, isn't it? And all the other issues around the bad press that smoking's had. Because I think my granddad told me when he worked down the mines, I can't remember what company it was, but he used to get given a fag before, because I don't know, he told me he used to be able to get like single fags. And he said that they got not a ration, but they got given a fag every shift. And it's kind of believed that there was health benefits to tobacco, like the amount of propaganda that tobacco firms created to kind of create a public image, and the suppression of evidence that tobacco was negative for people.
Look, in the 50s and 60s, and 60s, doctors were given free cigarettes. But also, they would say to you that if you've got a cough, smoke a cigarette and it'll help you. And that's a doctor. And my father-in-law was to say he was a smoker, and he used to have tobacco companies that come round and give free samples and stuff. And he believed all this because, his governing body, all the top doctors would tell you, actually smoking's all right. And then later on, when the real sort of research came out, the evidence of how it damages your lungs, he went to a seminar and saw what he was doing. He immediately stopped smoking and advised all his patients to do the same. He got quite a lot of hassle for that. But it shows you, Steve, like you said, all that propaganda actually is quite good for you. That's how it sticks, doesn't it? If you can get doctors to say it's good, then people believe them.
Because they're trusted, aren't they? So,
but that's like my parents.
It's a worrying development, isn't it? It's all about money. exploitation.
Yeah.
But
yeah, the propaganda. My parents both started smoking when they were like about 11, and my mum always says to me, "There was never. We were told it was good for you. It was glamorous. There was nothing negative. So the propaganda, they're so great at what they do. They can really turn anything to make it. You know,
well, is vaping going to be the same? Is it in 20 years' time we're going to be hearing about how vaping's bad for you as well? Just the same.
And so
is it just going around in circles, isn't it? Then
yeah.
I mean, you hear stories of what they call pop 21. Vaping causes this issue there, but then there'll be the lobby groups will tell you it's nonsense.
Exactly.
Who do you believe? But it's also it's touted as a safe way of smoking, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, right. If you want to coming off cigarettes, vaping helps you do that, you know. But actually, you're just getting somebody hooked on something else.
Well, it's like methadone, where heroin is concerned. They use methadone as a treatment, as it were, to treat heroin addiction. But methadone is just as addictive, if not more addictive, as heroin. So you're actually just substituting one drug, which they buy on the street, for another drug that they get from a doctor. So it's not actually about solving addiction as an issue or tackling the underlying causes of addiction in that person. It's about giving them a substitute drug.
I mean, that's a great example, Stephen. Part of it is the big pharmaceutical companies can't control drugs on the street. They can control them. They can't.
Exactly.
They can make it, they can sell it, and get a government health system to prescribe it.
Endorse it,
But your dealer on the street isn't going to be paying the pharmaceutical company any
or tax.
So, no tax on it, all that. So again, it's about manipulation.
Definitely.
That's a great example. That's a great example to use. Yeah.
So we're going to wrap it up here. I just have you guys got any final thoughts that you want to share?
Don't believe nothing. Don't believe anything they tell you.
Well, I would. Well, that's a great point, isn't it? But I would say with that, I'd listen to everything, and then go and find out yourself. Do your research.
Yeah.
But listen to both sides of the story before you make a decision.
And I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Pete. Do your own research. It's really easy just to listen to someone. If it's something you feel very strongly about, do your own research and allow yourself to come to your own conclusion. It's so important.
But not all sources are created equally. A YouTube video from Tinfoil Hat 99 that deals about 5G vaccines is not going to be as trustworthy as the British Medical Journal.
No. Choose your resource information wisely.
I've had both my vaccines now, and I have to say the mobile phone coverage on my phone has increased. I don't know whether it's to do with the vaccine or what. You know, might be something.
You're fully 5G compatible now, Pete.
Oh God, yeah. I'm on mobile mask now. I did say to somebody was telling me about this before we go. Somebody told me, they said a lot of conspiracy. It's Bill Gates and the 5G, and I said, look, I can't even get 2G where I live. You know, I welcome anything that would boost my phone signal. Anyway.
Oh gosh.
What's happening the rest of the day at the yard, Jasmine?
Right, so we've got Crafternoon this afternoon. So that is from Bianca's just shouting to me. So we've got all the crafts this afternoon. It's our summer holiday program. It's starting now. So it's on from now. Yeah, and then what's the other? Yard camp 1 till 3 this afternoon. Luke's here. He's getting all the equipment ready. So if you fancy coming doing a bit of exercise, it's rubbish weather outside, you can come down to that. Have we got any youth groups today? Girls group and open group starting at 4, I think. So yeah, it's all going on this afternoon. We're busy down here already. So yeah, I think a miserable day, so it's nice to have somewhere to come inside and get a hot drink and enjoy some of the stuff going on. So come down and see us.
So thanks for joining us, Jasmine and Pete. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Thanks everyone that watched. And just another reminder, check out www.facebook.com. We Need Your Boots, and they provide upcycled football boots. I remember myself being at school, how expensive football boots can be. So make sure to check them out. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Goodbye. See you next time.
Guys.
Bye. 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 Bye.